We are Chris and Jen, and we are on a journey.
We are full-time RVers from Pennsylvania, learning how to live on the road while exploring the outdoors and the history of America.
Join in at To Wander Freely.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Wander Freely. Today we wanted to take a little bit of time to answer some of your questions because we get so many of them, and most of them actually revolve around what it is that we do for an income on the road. Very valid question.
Yes.
Considering we're in our mid-30s, we're obviously not retired.
Not even close.
Actually, somebody recently said, "Oh, do you just get people to donate to your trips?"
Yeah.
That was a guess, and I was like, "No."
Many think that we're independently wealthy.
Yeah, people
That's
think we're
definitely not the case either.
Trust me, if I was independently wealthy,
We'd have a
this would
nicer
look a
camper
little-
than this.
and a much nicer truck. That's the biggest
Yes,
thing.
that's right.
So no, yeah, we work. We both we've been married almost 12 years, and for the first time in our married lives, we are actually down to one income,
Yeah,
and that is Chris's. So,
that would be me.
so he is going to be doing most of the talking, but hopefully we're going to answer your questions today. And if you have any other questions, just ask us in the comments below. So, let's just start out with a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I went to school for architectural engineering, specialized in construction management, and all through school I had a real interest in drafting, both hand drafting and computer-aided drafting. So when I got out in the real world, started working, I didn't necessarily get to do a lot of drafting, and I had an opportunity that just kind of presented itself out of nowhere about a year outside of graduating, where I got to kind of open my own small business and just do computer-aided drafting on the side.
Okay, and now, so a little more specifically, can you tell us what it is you do now?
Sure. Shop drawings, technical drawings. I work primarily for custom casework, like kitchen cabinets or commercial cabinets, that kind of stuff I do. I produce shop drawings for those guys.
Okay.
There's some other small things, but that's primarily what I do.
Right. So one of the questions that we had from a viewer is, how do you work while driving?
So while actually driving, that's an easy one. We don't work. I have a desk set up inside with two screens set up. I kind of need, to have things up on multiple screens. So like doing work on a laptop while we're driving down the road isn't really an option for me. So on days that we're driving, one, I'm usually behind the wheel 99% of the time. So
Nonsense.
yeah, travel days, and we plan accordingly. Like we'll try and keep our travel days, short so that I can work before we leave or when we get home. Or, again, because we have so much flexibility, if I have got a deadline or something coming up, then we'll just push our departure date a little bit and we'll get done what we need to.
Right, and that will all depend on the type of work that you're trying to do. Because his is more independent, it doesn't, the days of the week really don't matter. So he's not rushing to do
Right.
things Monday through Friday. In fact, I think you probably spend more time working on the weekends than you ever did before. That's kind of interesting, but
Yeah.
we do it that way, and we just plan it around our travel days. I, however, do a lot for the blog on travel days. So we
Yeah.
do that. What challenges have you had to overcome, and what should we expect?
Thankfully, it's been pretty smooth sailing. The one major challenge that jumps to mind is a number of months back when we were in Utah. I woke up one day, turned the computer on, and it just started flashing all different colors at me, and it was sort of a catastrophic failure for the computer, which was not good. So, when that goes down, you got to get a fix quickly. So tried, I've got Dell equipment, tried calling Dell. They did as much as they could, but I had two projects going on at the time, so I really needed to get something fixed fast. So hit the Yellow Pages, was really blessed to find a guy locally who could help out and help out quick. I called him at like 10:30 at night because the guy said his office hours were until 11:30, and sure enough, he picked up the phone and he was out at the camper the next morning to pick up the computer and go work on it. So we were fortunate there, and we also kind of had a plan B. The software and everything that I have on my main computer, we also have on Jen's laptop just as a backup. Of course, the laptop isn't as powerful, but it allows me to keep working while the big stuff's getting fixed. So that was a definite challenge, and yeah, you just kind of have to be flexible and ready to, find the quickest solution wherever you happen to be.
Right, because it was really funny at that time. He had called Dell, and I mean, it's funny because the things that sound so normal when you're in a regular house situation or a permanent, residence, it's just so much more difficult on the road. Their solution, because it was a hardware issue, after they'd done all this diagnostic testing and things, their solution was they were going to send us an empty box. We would put the computer into it and mail it back to them, and then they would mail it back to us, and who knows how long it would have taken quite a bit of time to figure all this out, and till we got it back. And
Yeah,
we were
and
like,
it's a big computer. I mean, it's the all-in-one 27-inch. The thing probably weighs like 40 pounds. The
Right.
idea of just shipping it anywhere, and it just didn't
first of
sound
all,
good.
it sounded like we were going to do worse damage to it, but also
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
we're just not in a place long enough to be messing with those kind of options. So
We had a
and-
couple days where we were at before we were supposed to be hitting the road.
Right.
So yeah.
And be flexible, but also look at challenges. I think one of the biggest things, and that goes for all of life on the road, not just working on the road, but is, challenges really are opportunities, as long as you're focusing on the right things. And in this case, we made a great friend out of it, and we were happy to give him some business. He had a
Yeah.
young family, and he was so helpful to us, and we were so grateful for him, to be able to find him. And actually, by the time the computer was fixed, we had moved on to the next place, and he actually drove and met us halfway between,
Yeah.
with his son. He brought his little son with him, and it was just a real opportunity instead of a hardship. So it's important to look at those aspects, and keep some balance in your life, and make sure that you're putting people first.
Agreed. Yeah, especially while they're happening, when it's easy
Yeah.
to get frustrated.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's right.
Okay. The next question is internet access an issue?
It's usually not. For the type of work that I do, I really don't need much in terms of an internet connection. I receive work electronically, but then 90% of what I do is just on the computer. I don't have to be online. We actually use more internet for the blog and social media type of stuff that we do. We can plan. You can usually tell going into a certain campground that you're booking how the internet's going to be. You know some of the newer ones, of course, they just happen to, they have newer systems, they've got better internet. The Wi-Fi is always going to be, yeah, kind of up in the air.
Until you get there and try it.
Yeah,
Because there have been places that said, no, you can't stream anything. And then we get there and you can
It's been
totally
great.
stream. And,
Yeah.
it just
Places that are
depends.
kind of out in the middle of nowhere, they have phenomenal internet. Some places
Right.
that, it's, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a real
But if
hit or
you
miss
count
thing.
on it, then it's definitely something you're going to want to look into, and make sure that you're staying, according to your needs, basically. And I think our phone plan is, we always have that as a backup, and
Yeah.
we have what, 12?
We've got 12 gigabytes on our phone plan, and pretty much everywhere we've stayed, with the exception of like 2 places that jump to mind, we've had cell coverage. So where we have cell coverage, we can hotspot our phones, and that's a good backup. We try to use that as little as possible, but that's always a good backup for our internet usage.
Right, and like you said, we usually use it more for the blog and now our YouTube channel, and
Yeah.
more of the random things that I do. But also, we do not have TV. I don't know if you noticed that in our tour, but we do not have a television. We do not really watch television. We didn't have TV for, I think it was like almost 4 years prior to even starting this, or 5 years it could have been.
About 5
We
years,
gave
yeah.
up TV a long time ago when we realized that it just wasn't worth our time, and we were watching things just to watch them, as opposed to things that we really enjoyed. So a lot of our favorite channels had changed so much that you know, they were just unrecognizable and a waste of our time, basically. So we stopped watching TV, and now what we do is stream every once in a while a show or a video, and so that is also how we use our data. Usually at the end of the cycle, then we stream a couple movies or something,
that's
because
right.
we use
Data
it up.
doesn't
'Cause
roll
we want to
over,
get our
we might
money's
as well
worth.
use it up.
That's right. We want to get our money's worth. So,
Yeah.
so that's the internet situation. But if it's mandatory for you, you can certainly call ahead. Stay closer to towns and cities for sure, and see how that goes for you. Okay, so that wraps up all of our questions. And we just wanted to give you, we came up with 6 of our top tips for helping you to decide and make adjustments for working on the road. So the first one is to be realistic on how effective you will be on the road.
Yeah, I think it's important it's helpful to start with something that can easily be done remotely and independently. Number 2, be flexible. A lot of stuff's going to change on the road. You're really not going to know what each day is going to bring. Having a flexible attitude about it all really helps.
Right, and the reality is it's hard. It's a hard adjustment at first. I think in the first couple weeks, really for him in particular, it was very difficult to get out of, I think we all kind of have that sense of, oh, it'd be great to not work, when you're working full time and have the freedom and whatever. But those first couple weeks are a huge adjustment,
Big
and not having
adjustment,
that
yeah.
structure is a big deal. So, but being flexible, especially in terms of your planning of your campsites, we try to stay only a week or 2 ahead of ourselves, and that's it. We usually do not book any farther than that, and that allows us. That has been helpful to us. Number 3 is have a plan B. For us, it is that if Chris is totally desperate, his computer goes down, he can use my laptop, and how do you do that with?
I've got an external hard drive that I'm probably a little behind the curve, and I don't do a whole lot of backing up on the cloud. I still do pretty much all my backing up just on an external hard drive that I use. So each night, especially any day that I'm doing work, everything gets backed up at night, so that if the next day things don't start up right, I can just plug that hard drive into the laptop and pretty much pick up where I left off.
And while it's old school, it actually probably works better on the road, because if you wouldn't have internet,
Yeah,
so consider it.
yeah. I think things might actually be getting backed up to the iCloud that I don't even know about.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
In addition,
Yeah.
it's all on the.
I'm no computer guru by any stretch.
I mean, we do have a YouTube channel now, so we're just out there.
We're pretty thrilled with that. Number 4, have a dedicated workspace. I think this is important for anybody working at home, whether you're on the road or you just work out of your house. I've read it before and I agree with it. It helps me, at least, to really have a spot that's dedicated to, I know if I'm setting up shop there, I'm getting work done, and it's helpful, especially in the tight confines of a trailer, where everything just happens to sort of blend into each other. Keeping that workspace defined is a good idea.
Right, and even for me, knowing those, it's a boundary for me as well, that I'm not gonna put dishes down or something like that down on his desk, which, trust me, is tempting, because any flat surface that you see that's clear and
You go for it.
in the 20 by 10-foot space that you have, yeah, you want to fill it. So yeah, it's a good boundary for both of us. And also, an extra point on that is that that was another reason that we bought a used, the main reason being that we could afford it, but also it really allowed us to change the inside so that he would have a desk and have a specific space set aside for his work. Is it me? Is it my turn? Okay. I'm sorry. It's the desert heat.
It's the heat. I think it's starting to wear on us a little bit.
Okay. Number 5 is adjust your lifestyle to fit your new income. Boom.
Yes, I think this is a tough one for just about anybody. It's something that we started making that we didn't know 2 years ago that we were going to be hitting the road full time. But I think that was about the time where we just started making adjustments in our lifestyle of downsizing, simplifying, and that it really helped this whole transition into life on the road.
But we've also always lived within our means, and
Yeah.
so if you are not accustomed to doing that, I would try to work through that, even maybe before you hit the road, or
Definitely
start to prepare
before you hit the
yourself.
road. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it is an adjustment, and for us, we had 2 incomes all these years, and so now we're down to 1, and it's really only a part-time.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't make any, I want people to understand, we don't make anything near what we made in our traditional home with our traditional lifestyle, all those
Yeah.
things. But we were willing to make that change, and the sacrifices that we make now aren't even considered sacrifices to us in trade-off of what we're able to experience and the people that we've been able to meet. So, make sure that you've thought through those priorities and can find a balance for yourself, so that you don't end up, upsetting yourself basically on the road.
Yeah.
So, number 6. Somebody's always trying to get in on our videos. This time it's a
Straight
wasp.
insects this time.
Yeah.
Okay, and our sixth and final tip is to make sure to keep in touch with people.
Yeah, it's really important. It can be easy once you hit the road to be so caught up in what you're doing, and we want you to be in the moment. It is important wherever you are to be in that moment, but at the same time, networking is a big deal. And so just because you hit the road doesn't mean that, you know, you need to drop those connections, because it's really important to keep yourself in front of people, and also more so even reaching out by phone. You know, we can become very reliant on email, and it's important to have them hear your voice. And hopefully, I mean, people love Chris, and uh, really everybody they works with, he's just a really kind, caring guy. And so, you know, it is important, and people love hearing from him on a personal level in addition to the business side. So it helps in a lot of ways. But make sure that you stay in touch with people in your field and the people that you've worked with. So that pretty much does it. And we're in the Sonoran Desert. We're at probably one of our favorite campgrounds.
Yeah.
It's called
Rancho Sonora.
and it is beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. They pack out in the winter, but this time of year, we're here in May. Everybody's gone because
Just
no one's
started their
stupid enough
off
to be
season.
here in the. No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke, but because we're obviously here. So, but yeah, it's hot. But what we love here is we've seen so much wildlife. I mean, we had a diamondback rattlesnake here, a juvenile, but he was here at the campground. We had several coyotes come through. I mean, it's been really cool. So we definitely recommend it. Hope this was helpful. And like I said, leave us any questions that you have. And our sincerest best wishes to all of you if you're making the change. And if there's anything that we can do to help in any way to answer your questions, please let us know.
Definitely. Thanks so much. So I wanted to give you a real quick look at the setup that I have for getting the work done. One of the things that we liked about the layout of this camper was when we bought it, there was just a recliner here that was easily removable, and then we would have this nice open space to create a desk area. So this is a freestanding desk that we got from IKEA. I bolted it to the wall so that it wouldn't slide around. I've got my main computer here, the powerhouse for running the AutoCAD software. I've got a second monitor that I use just for ease of display, and then down below here I've got an all-in-one printer, copier, fax, don't use the fax, and scanner. And it's I can do things in color, and it's 11 by 17. With the type of work that I do, oftentimes I'm marking things up and sending stuff back and forth via email. So that's a real handy tool, and it's tucked underneath and out of the way. So for these two are just sitting on the desk for travel days. I just unplug them and I set them on the couch right across the room, and that's where they make the trips. And then I slide the chair in, strap everything in, and it doesn't go anywhere. So it's a pretty good setup. And basically all I need is this about 3 foot by 5 foot area to get the work done that I need to do, and it works out pretty good. So that about wraps it up for us. We hope that you found this helpful, and that it shows that, hey, you know, you don't need sponsorships, you don't need to be a National Geographic professional photographer or something like that to do life on the road. If you think you have something that might be good to do mobily, then we encourage you guys to get out there and give it a shot. And of course, if you have any other questions or comments for us, please feel free to leave them, and we'll address them as best we can. Thanks.